All right, guys, we're back. I figured we're going to keep talking about what's taken place this week, and that is the death of Charlie Kirk, the assassination of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. And I wanted to give you guys some updates. I don't know how the rest of you are feeling, but it's been a really, really difficult thing to wrap my head around. You guys let me know how you're feeling in the comments down below. I found myself last night struggling to sleep. I kept waking up going online for some reason to just see if there was anything else taking place, anything else had been found out. And the amount of doom scrolling I've done in the past 24 hours should concern just about anyone. And I have this feeling of just deep emotional whiplash, I guess is what I'm going to call it, because I'm watching people who are taking in what's happened to Charlie Kirk. They're mourning his loss. They're sharing their sorrows, their condolences. And on the other end of it, you have people who are cheering, celebrating, dancing, screaming, thanking the gun, the bullet, the shooter for what has taken place here. And when your brain is just taking in all of that constantly, I can't imagine that it's functioning properly. This is not the life that any of us should be leading. This is not the information, or at least the way in which we should be taking in this information on any given day, let alone on a story like this that is so powerful, that it hits so close to home for so many of us and is so shocking. And you're watching as the entire world, this is not just a US thing, this is the West, this is the world, is responding to this. You're seeing celebrities, people you follow, people whose opinions you care about or do not care about, all being thrust at you all at once in quick succession as you're going on social media. So today on the show, I think we want to slow down, be the calm in the storm a little bit. I am not going to show you any of the celebrations of what has taken place and the loss of life and the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I'm just going to give you guys the updates that we have, talk about how I'm processing these things, and I hope that we can use this as a space for you to share how you're processing it as well. And you can talk to each other in the comments, and I'll be reading through your comments as well. Now, as of today, they do have an alleged photo of the shooter that is circulating on the internet. The FBI of Salt Lake City posted a couple photos of this individual saying, "We are asking for the public's help identifying this person of interest in connection with the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University." And they left a number, and they've displayed some pictures here. He's yet to be identified. And, I don't know what's going on here. I see people saying this takes a very professional shooter for this to take place. Others saying it's not a professional shot whatsoever. People are going back and forth about the distance or where it's taken place. And it's really difficult to get a through line, to process it, to think about who could have possibly done this, why they would have done it. But I'm going to take this chance to give you just all the facts that I've come across, and we'll update this as time goes on. Now, it is being reported by the Wall Street Journal that early bulletin said the ammunition in the Kirk shooting was engraved with transgender anti-fascist ideology. Some sources urge caution. Now, Steven Crowder also posted an email that he received from an officer at the ATF where it was said that all cartridges have engraved wording on them expressing transgender and anti-fascist ideology. An emergency trace has been submitted, and SLC is working leads generated by the trace. So apparently the cartridges were engraved with this transgender messaging, anti-fascist messaging consistent with extreme leftist ideology, which many had already predicted was going to be a part of this case and the death of Charlie Kirk. So not necessarily surprised there. And I'm not necessarily surprised at the fact that the media is choosing to cover this in a way that doesn't quite, hit the nail on the head in regard to the admission that there's transgender and anti-fascist ideology engraved into these cartridges. I'm going to show you a clip from CNN, and then we'll read what we'll call the lower third on that clip.
A lot to go on. Today, as they say, key breakthroughs, but the manhunt continues.
Okay, now key breakthroughs today. Let's go ahead and read what that says in the lower third on that video. It says, sources, phrases related to cultural issues were scrawled on rifle and ammo found near Charlie Kirk shooting. Phrases related to cultural issues. Now, why would an outlet like CNN phrase it in that way? Phrases related to cultural issues rather than saying transgender and anti-fascist rhetoric or phrases. You guys let me know. Is it perhaps it doesn't fit the narrative that one would spin when it comes to the assassination of a massive figure like Charlie Kirk? Is it not conducive to CNN's narrative to say that this was transgender and anti-fascist writings on those cartridges? I would raise my hand and I would say yes to that. Now, it's very similar to what we saw out of MSNBC yesterday, where MSNBC said, there could be somebody in Celebration who was shooting, and that's how Charlie Kirk ended up being killed. They said that Charlie Kirk shared a lot of hateful messages and hateful rhetoric, and one cannot share hateful messages and hateful rhetoric without expecting some sort of response. Now, because of the backlash that MSNBC received, they did end up firing, I believe, that correspondent or the man who was responsible for sharing that statement on air. But nonetheless, the media is largely telling you how they feel about this assassination attempt. And even further than that, the world, or at least part of the world, is telling you that if you feel bad for this individual, there's something wrong with you. They're in fact celebrating it, dancing, cheering it on. And I'm not shocked by it necessarily, because we saw what took place with the Titanic submersible and the response to that. People cheering on the death of billionaires and their kids, people cheering on the implosion and people dying within a second, all while going on some journey because they have money. They have a large net worth, never mind the fact that a father and his son was on the Titanic submersible. We watched with the United Healthcare CEO as people cheered on his death and made a martyr out of Luigi Mangione, and they continue to this very day. And now they're saying that whoever shot Charlie Kirk in this instance shares a special connection with Luigi and is now entering, I guess, this sort of political Mount Rushmore of people who are taking into their own hands justice in their eyes. And I'm reminded of the loss of humanity every single time something like this takes place, but this time it feels a little bit stronger now. This time I'm sort of walking around, and I went out of my house today and I'm thinking, wow, there's a good portion of the people around right now who are celebrating this right now, who are happy about this. And it is really difficult to grapple with as somebody who does what I do. I'd imagine it's the same for all of you. Like, we're all normal people who I think typically are not wishing death or ill will upon anybody for any reason, let alone over politics. And to see such strong celebratory reactions to this, it just really pulls at your heart, pulls at your soul, whatever it is that you believe in. I do find it very difficult, as not only am I seeing strangers on the internet share sentiments like that, but I'm seeing people who are like adjacent to me in life, in my personal life, share just glee, happiness, joy over this. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on. You want to give grace to people and say, with what they've been hearing, with the way that conservatives in general are spoken about in the media and entertainment and just on social media, and the way that we are characterized, I can see why people would view this in a celebratory way, given that they think we're like neo-fascist Nazis who wants to kill them. I guess that's the narrative that they're getting. But part of me is thinking, do you really believe that? Do you really believe that? And that's why you're celebrating? Or is there something beyond it? Is there something more nefarious taking place? Something more, not evil, but something bad, really deep-seated in these individuals, that they think that this is something good that has happened for themselves and for the world. And I'm struggling with those thoughts, and I'm struggling with a lot of anger. And I'm trying to, within myself, push that down, and also hopefully share with you guys the message that we can't let our anger lead us. I mean, we can let these strong visceral feelings that we're having fuel us and hopefully put us on a good course, which I believe was the course that Charlie Kirk was already on. But let's not respond in kind. Let's not respond in anger. And I'm seeing some conservative figures, some public figures saying it's time to take the gloves off. It's time to respond in kind to what they're doing. It's time to let go of words, because words are not enough anymore. But let me remind you that Charlie Kirk was always armed with words and words only. That's what he was going out and doing. He was having conversations. And when his life was taken, he was having conversations. Just before he was assassinated, he was encouraging those who disagreed with him to come forward and have a conversation. And I think it would be best that we take up that very same torch and continue to have conversations. And what I struggle with is that I see these tweets from conservatives and the like who are posting and saying, we're going on a different course now. We have to respond differently now. Now we tried being kind. This is something different. What? It's what? They're not giving a prescription for what's going to be different. They're not telling you what you're supposed to do now that you're not going to be kind anymore. They're not telling you what the trade-off is for letting go of your words and responding in kind now. They're not telling you exactly what there is that needs to be done. And they're saying now the fight begins, or Andrew Tate is tweeting out civil war. What does that mean? Okay, and I think you're going to see a lot of these people say things like this. You're going to see a lot of messages like this, and it is going to resonate because this does feel like a line in the sand that's been drawn. It seems like something's been crossed over. Like the world is not the same after this. Like this is the shot heard around the world, but they're not telling you what they want you to do. And I don't think they're going to be going out and doing all this fighting and the dropping of words that they're now prescribing. So we'll see. There are other people that I think are putting out really nice messages. Alex Jones is talking about what's taken place with Charlie Kirk. He's saying in response to this, he's going to go and speak at colleges. Ben Shapiro says he's going to go and do the same. A lot of people are saying they're just going to take up the torch and work harder in the wake of what's happened. And I can wholeheartedly agree with that. I'm seeing on the other end of leftists who are celebrating his death, I'm seeing leftists really empathize, sympathize, share their hearts and their visceral reactions to what's taken place. Cenk Uygur's one of them. Dean Withers, I believe, had a very emotional response to this. Parker, who's Dean's friend, and they go around doing this leftist debating, had a very strong reaction to this and was actually present at UVU when this took place. And he's now advocating that if you are a left-leaning person who is following him and you are celebrating this, to stop following him. That is not a part of his platform. And I cannot thank those people enough for, in a time where people are jumping to celebrate this death, they are saying stop and distance yourself from me if that's the person that you are. It's what we need right now. Because I don't know. I could see a lot of violence taking place in the wake of this. We've already seen, I guess, as people were gathering for some sort of visual of Charlie Kirk, somebody came through on a scooter, a leftist, I presume, and screamed, "Fuck Charlie Kirk," or something to that effect, and ended up getting his ass beat. I don't want to see more of that. For me, that's not the way that I want this to go down. And it's unfortunate that something like this has taken place. And I don't know where we go from here. It's either that we witness how crazy and insane this is, that we witness the loss of humanity, the desensitization to death, and we change course for ourselves and hopefully lead our communities in a right position, or we let this take us to a whole new low. And if people are thinking this is the only low we have, like this is the lowest that we can go, this is the rock bottom, I promise you it's not. There is lower. There is worse from here if we choose worse from here. And it's hard. It's hard to take upper ground or turn the other cheek on something and to stay with integrity in your values and continue to follow the course of your moral compass when other people are choosing not to, and they're choosing not to in a way that is completely life destroying. And I can imagine what Charlie Kirk's wife is going through, what his kids are going through, and we now learned that they were in attendance. It's unimaginable. But yeah, I can't. I can hear the angry voices. You know what I mean? Not to sound absolutely insane, but I can hear the anger. I can feel the anger. And choosing not to lead with it is difficult, but I think necessary. Now, in some other news, before we close out for today's video, South Park. A lot of people have been bringing up South Park because, of course, recently Charlie was featured, and this was big. Charlie even responded to this and said he thought it was awesome. He cheered on the comedy. He took it on the chin and said this is a great thing, and that they really got his mannerisms down, and he was so happy to have seen himself in this show. And now a lot of people are turning to South Park and talking about whether or not they bear some responsibility for what's taken place because they thrust him into the limelight in a way that further extended this sentiment of him being a neo-Nazi or a racist. Well, they've now decided to remove the Charlie Kirk South Park episode from its cable lineup. And I don't know. I mean, out of respect, I think that is a nice thing. I struggle with thinking how responsible or, how much of a role it played that he was featured in that episode, that this took place to him. But there you have it. Now that's gone. And we're just seeing little things change here and there. Now, Trump addressed Charlie Kirk and his loss of life. He says he's going to honor him with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. We're going to roll that clip.
Before we begin, let me express the horror and grief so many Americans at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk have felt. Charlie was a giant of his generation, a champion of liberty, and an inspiration to millions and millions of people. Our prayers are with his wonderful wife, Eric, and his beautiful children. Fantastic people they are. We miss him greatly, yet I have no doubt that Charlie's voice and the courage he put into the hearts of countless people, especially young people, will live on. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The date of the ceremony will be announced, and I can only guarantee you one thing, that we will have a very big crowd, very, very big.
There you have it. And they will indeed. This is going to ripple through the entire world. And it already has already. I cannot tell you how many people I've spoken to who are just so deeply impacted by this. This is a death, an assassination that has changed, I think, the way many of us think about life in general, politics, our families, the way we communicate with one another. And if the individual responsible for this, or whoever, the group responsible for this, I don't know what's going on, whoever's responsible for this, if they thought they've killed the message of Charlie Kirk, they thought they've killed the sort of conversations that he was trying to have, they absolutely have not. They've increased his message 100-fold, and everybody's going to carry on with the energy that Charlie had, with the message that Charlie had, with this drive to have these uncomfortable conversations, to sit across the table from the people that hate you or dislike you or disagree with you. And it's just such a shame that the person who was doing that the most is the person who's lost his life. So guys, here we are. And to those that are celebrating it, I feel like a deep sense of pity for those individuals. And I do think, as somebody who was a former leftist, never with that sort of thought in my brain, I was never that far gone as a leftist. But as somebody who used to share that ideology and grew past that, I hope the same happens for these individuals. And when they have that realization of what they've said in these moments and what they've done in these moments, hopefully there's just an internal shift that happens with these people where they are deeply apologetic for the way that they've responded. It's been horrifying being on the internet right now. And I don't know how any of us are doing it, let alone how I'm doing it. I've been thinking of logging off for quite some time. And then I find myself with like this diseased brain that continues to go back and check and see what's going on. And then I'm hit with another wave of just absolutely disgusting, vitriolic, just sickness that is existing online right now. So if you guys need a break for yourselves, take the break. Sometimes it's absolutely necessary. We weren't even meant to be communicating like this from the beginning. And times like this really emphasize just how diseased our whole entire world is. And with that being said, the person who was doing something really great, who was actually getting off of social media to meet people in person and have discussions one-on-one, was Charlie Kirk. So shout out to Charlie Kirk. May he rest in peace. My thoughts are with his wife, his kids, his family, his community, everybody who's worked with him, for him, everybody who he's impacted. And his impact does not die here. Guys, we'll be sharing more, talking more about this. I think tomorrow's video is going to be a message to left-leaning people who have been woken up by this incident. As I was a leftist once who realized that it was not the ideology for me, and I think many people are going through that realization right now. As I said, this is like a shot heard around the world. And where there are people celebrating, there are also going to be people waking up. So be ready and be here to welcome them, and welcome them in the same way that Charlie would have, with conversation. Guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Best to you and yours. And I hope in all the horribleness that's happening right now, we're having some semblance of a good and healthy day. Bye, guys.